What's good? We are live. I'm Jamil Parker representing YSM Sports Media. And the topic at hand is pound for pound number one fighter Terence Bud Crawford and his promotional situation with Top Rank. Um, well, let's talk about the performance first. Um, I had Brook up 2 rounds to one, and it was looking like it was going to be competitive. I thought Kell Brook was going to make a good go of it, and Bud landed. I don't even know if you could call this a jab or a hook. It was like a hybrid. Pawed at him with the jab and just came in over the top and caught Brook and put him on Queer Street. He ended up falling back to the ropes. Then the ref ended up stopping it after Bud just proceeded to whoop on his ass. Um, then heard the Michael Brown was good. What up, T? Then did an interview with Bob Arum. Bob Arum bigged him up and praised him. They asked Bob about Earl Spence and Pacquiao and what is he going to do to make these fights. And Bob just went on a soliloquy about how those guys don't want to fight him and that those guys are scared to death he'll beat them all in the same night. Mind you, he never said how he was going to make those fights, which was actually the question. But he proceeded to big up Terence Crawford. And then we hear about these interviews that Bob did after the fight, and it was a completely different tone. Now, I don't know what happened before or after that, but it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look for Bob as a promoter. It wasn't a good look for Terence Crawford being Bob's fighter, especially coming off of a spectacular stoppage win. So I'm going to repeat what was said supposedly. I didn't hear Bob say it. So these are excerpts from an interview. Um, they asked, was Top Rank going to be able to keep Terence Crawford? Bob responded, "Is the question is, do we want to keep him? I could build a house in Beverly Hills on the money I've lost on him in these last three fights." It's very telling. It's very telling. And I would say for like the past year or two, Terence Crawford fans slash PBC haters, PBC fans slash Terence Crawford haters have been doing this back and forth about how well does Bud draw? Who will be the A side in a fight with him and Spence? Why haven't we seen Bud against top level competition? And for me, it had nothing to do with fear. It was the business of boxing. The business of boxing is what keeps fights from not happening, not fighters being afraid of each other. These guys have already fought each other for free in the amateurs. Why would they be afraid to fight each other now? So one of the reasons why I always said I didn't think Bud got the top fights is because he's not lucrative enough for Bob. Well, his fights don't do well enough numbers for Bob to pay top quality opponents. Now, detractors would say, "Oh well, Keith Thurman only got 2 million to fight Manny Pacquiao." If you know anything about boxing, you would realize that PBC fighters and a lot of other fighters have a very low guaranteed money on the books, but they're getting a lot more of that behind closed doors. So a dude like a Sean Porter, it may say on paper that Sean Porter's going to get two, but he may come with a $5 million price tag. A Danny Garcia, $5 to $6 million price tag. It was reportedly that Keith Thurman wanted 10 million. So with Bud only selling 100,000 pay-per-views, you're going to have to give Bud either more or equal to what you're paying these top level opponents. And are you going to get that in return as a promoter? Probably not, based off of what Bob is saying. He paid Amir Khan what 5 million to pay Bud 5 million. I think it did a little bit more than 100,000 or less than 100,000. So financially, it was a dud. So is Terence Crawford being on Top Rank a valuable option going forward in his career? I would say no. I would say no. He's not bringing Top Rank the revenue they would hope based off of the money that they're guaranteeing him. And Top Rank cannot get him the fights because they don't want to take a $5 to $10 million loss on the event. It's safe to say it's time to part ways. Bud is 33 years old. He's a great fighter, but he leaves a lot to be desired in the promotional aspect. He's not really outgoing, soft spoken unless talking to another fighter. Isn't really that active on social media, and just now in the ring, he gets it done. Great boxer, great skills, killer instinct, but he's not captivating. And in this day and age, if you're going to be a black fighter, you have to be captivating. And so there was another comment that Bob Arum made saying he's got to promote like Lopez does, Shakur does, like Mayweather did, like Pacquiao did. If he doesn't, then who the fuck needs him? He may be the greatest fighter in the world, but hey, I ain't going bankrupt promoting him. There it is. There it is. So for every Bud fan that always blamed the other side of the street, there you have it. That's the reason why you haven't seen Terence Crawford in big fights. It's not financially lucrative for Bob. Now, if these fans did more buying pay-per-views, did more supporting Bud at the gate than talking on Instagram or YouTube, then maybe, that wouldn't be the case. But come on, man. There's only one place for Bud to go right now. Everybody sees it. Premier Boxing Champions. I'm pretty sure Al could match the offer along with the fact that he has the fights that Bud wants to see. Well, he has the fights that Buds want and the fans want to see. Fight with Keith Thurman would do well. Sean Porter, Earl Spence, Danny Garcia. These are all fights that fans would pay top dollar to see. And it can't be a cross promotion because it's not worth it. Mega fights get cross promoted. Mega fights. And while Terence Crawford versus Earl Spence is a true boxing fan's dream, it's not a mega fight. It's just not. Neither have that crossover appeal. Now, Earl, I would say, is a bit further ahead than Bud, but still, like neither one of those is a superstar. They aren't really bringing casual value. And in order to be a superstar, you have to attract the casual fan. Pacquiao could do it. Floyd could do it. Ali could do it. Conor McGregor. And right now, I don't see any fighter, not even Canelo. Maybe Anthony Joshua, but that's in another country. But yeah, I don't really see anybody else that draws in a casual boxing fan. Now, there's a guy that has potential. Well, two guys that have potential, based on what I'm seeing. They bring a fan that doesn't watch boxing, and that's Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. They have a fan base that don't really watch boxing. Ryan Garcia brings young Mexican girls, and where Gervonta Davis, he's really tapped into the urban market. So Yeah, man. It's time for Bud to leave. It's time. Otherwise, it's going to be a what if. It's just going to be just a bunch of rhetoric where all the PBC guys were afraid to fight him, and oh, Bud was too scared to come over to the other side of the street. Like, oh man, it's time to leave. It's time to leave. Bob's not making any money. Bud's not getting any fights. The relationship has outgrown each other. Now, if Bud doesn't leave, kind of shows it kind of shows it's not really about the best fights. It's about the money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a prize fighter. But I don't want to hear in the interviews, I want to fight the best. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear these guys are afraid of me. Because to me, you haven't done everything possible for you to get these fights. If it's about the money, then just say it's about the money. But I don't want to hear all this skibbity dibbity about legacy, especially if that's not the case. And if Bob, if you really feel that way, if you're losing money on events, then let Bud go. Let him go to another promotional company. Let him further his career someplace else. Man. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the topic. You let me know in the comments below. How do you see the situation? Do you want Bud to stay or do you want Bud to go? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. YSM Sports Media. We out.